to the Keiser report. Boy, it feels great to be a Bitcoin millionaire. I'm loving it. 8 months ago, and if you recall, on this show and on the Alex Jones show, I said that there would be a major financial catastrophe over the next 9 months, and we've got it. Bitcoin has absolutely triumphed as the dollar has crashed 90% against Bitcoin, as Bitcoin is set to take on the world and root out the banksters, as we sorely need.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the legendary Max Keiser from like a decade ago, and Keiser's called it like he sees it for a long time and recently made a prediction that has everyone talking. Max Keiser's forecast of a global economic collapse and the rise of the Bitcoin standard could just be months away. We got a lot of news, a lot of economic news, and major bullish signals for Bitcoin, but hey, we got a lot to cover. Let's get it.
Give me my money.
You don't need Bitcoin either.
Yes, you do, because it's the most secure. It's the only secure database that's ever been invented. That's the technology. You fail to understand that it's a new technology that is as profound as the printing press or the electric light bulb. You're comparing it to things that you shouldn't be comparing it to. It makes no sense. You're talking nonsense.
All right, we're going to get it started right here. Historical data paints a grim picture when it comes to fiat currencies.
My God, that's a lie! It's a lie! It's a lie! They're lying! There's nothing there! It's a piece of...
With Argentina's peso and many others plunging in value over the years, the question emerges, are we entering the suddenly phase of a global currency collapse? Keiser may just be onto something. Guys, just take a look at that. And history suggests the 2020s are going to be wild because these three same steps that have repeated in most currency collapses we are in the midst of, and we're going to get into that some more in a minute. Keiser is known for his sometimes controversial but very insightful takes and, kind of paints a bleak picture in some ways of what's coming, but it's all underpinned by a failing fiat system and political mismanagement, from the collapse of economies in Argentina and Lebanon all the way to the US's mounting debt. The indicators are clear.
Who controls the regulator? The regulator is controlled by the government. There is no doubt that the regulator...
The government is owned by the banks.
Oh, rubbish.
Absolutely.
Listen, we're now moving into conspiracy theory nonsense, which is
why...
I mean, we can go through some more of the charts here, but whether it's hyperinflation or a deflationary depression, whichever it is, the average citizen's quality of life is bound to take a hit. But, amidst all of this chaos, somewhere is there a glimmer of hope? And some more signals of maybe what's to come. Recent trends are hinting at an unstable financial future with credit card default rates skyrocketing. Then there's the looming shadow of big players like Charles Schwab. And apparently Schwab owes 130% of their total equity capital to short duration FHLB loans. I mean, it kinda... facing situations reminiscent of, maybe a 2008 Lehman Brothers fiasco.
They grew up liars, they are liars, they'll die liars. Their DNA, if you take it to another planet, another universe, another parallel dimension, you could sell it on the open market as DNA that's made of pure lies.
Now, with all of this financial turmoil, Keiser suggests a savior. It's Bitcoin, a transition to a Bitcoin standard. I mean, with all of these things, all of these cascading events that can kind of compound on top of each other, maybe it's not so crazy to say a transition to a Bitcoin standard is a lot closer than we may think, and it will be driven by bank failures and, as we can see, the wind's changing, political acknowledgement.
The reason is that, as we've described, there is no competition. The competition's been squeezed out. We have an oligarchy of a few banks, and they keep rates artificially high for the peasants, and they keep them low for their real estate speculating and corporate speculating clientele, as who are doing their bidding in Washington. So we have two Americas. We have the peasant class, and we have the oligarchs. And America, by the way, their foreign policy, according to the current administration, is to defend democracy all over the world, which is, excuse my expression, but that's decide whether or not they want to have an oligarchy in America of Wall Street bankers manipulating the interest rates to an extent of creating a permanent American peasant class. That's the only really question that needs to be asked right now.
And Max, you just said it, and saying that it's horrible. You're totally right.
and they're creating a class system again, the thing America tried to get away from. So they use racism as a false class battle when really it's the ultra banks against us all. And so I think we need to unify old, young, black, white, gay, straight, whatever, for a code of a social contract again that operates. But what in a few minutes would that social contract look like? When do we start reforming? How long does this robber baroning go on?
As Christine Lagarde has said, there's only one escape. There's only one thing they can't control, and that's Bitcoin.
And if you're thinking all this is just speculative, just look at some example of these gas prices over the years and the alarming rate of inflation. So try to keep that, think about the scale and the rate, the percentage rate of increase, okay? So this is what Luke is getting at, why he has these, somewhat staggering numbers. Could we really be paying $100 for a gallon of gas sooner than we think, is what you also have to remember, okay? So don't take too literal. Inflation for 100 years is unpredictable, and we may not even use gas cars in 100 years. But this is an example of unit bias. Gas prices went up again. See the percentage, the rate of change, 26.85x over the last century. So $100 for a gallon of gas is not absurd, with the rate of change being what it is. Your cookbooks are burning. But hey, why don't we pivot to some optimistic news for my fellow bulltards out there. After the upcoming halving, Bitcoin could see an astronomical rally of up to 600% above its current price. And those of you who've been around know that is not that wild. Let's kind of go back to where we were at the beginning. History is suggesting that the 2020s will be the era of sound money. Now guys, this full thread in the description, so that'll be there for you, but we can draw some parallels with multiple historical collapses like that of the Roman denarius. There is a clarion call for a digital sound money renaissance. And what Keiser and many believe and hope is that Bitcoin, as decentralized, immutable digital money, might be the hero that the world's been searching for, because it looks like fiat world is getting more and more grim by the day, and the people in America all over the world are desperate for a tool that can actually save their hard-earned time and energy and value without being debased and having it stolen from them by a bunch of self-proclaimed bureaucratic elite up in Lizardtopia. There's a better way. Now ignore the bullshit crypto part, but Bitcoin is here to help with something like this. Look at this. Dwindling U.S. household savings coupled with, increasing debts. That's going to spell trouble for volatile assets in the short term. But even in this potential winter, Bitcoin's inherent value as a decentralized currency just stands out. And if you guys watched the clip yesterday, regardless of other dynamics, Michael Saylor believes even with no ETF and other things, Bitcoin's going to 500,000. And there's some other elements at play. Austrian economics, Trust me, I know how we feel about pomp, but we've been talking about this lately quite a bit as far as the supply and demand dynamics with Bitcoin, the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges, as well as the whales and the accumulation going on. But guys like Pomp and many others are seeing a simultaneous demand and supply shock on the horizon for Bitcoin, which further emphasizes its unique position in this landscape of macroeconomic calamity, much of which Bitcoin was designed to help protect you from.
I think we will get a spot Bitcoin ETF. The question is when. One of the things that people aren't talking about, though, is this ETF is going to be a demand shock, right? There is going to be assets that flow into this industry when that occurs, but closer and closer we get to the halving, it will coincide with a supply shock in that halving, and I think that we could see a repeat of 2020 where we go up quite significantly in price if that occurs.
Because these centralized bureaucrats and self-proclaimed elite, they are incapable of managing anything, let alone the economy. Take a look. The U.S. national debt is near 33 trillion. And as we get close to closing, this is a stark reminder of the pressing issues at hand with the U.S. national debt nearing 33 trillion. Again, 33 trillion. That's crazy. 33. There's something about that number. We're not going to get into that today. But concerns of a potential government shutdown are rife. And such tumultuous times beg the question, is Bitcoin the alternative the world's been waiting for? All right, guys, when we got supply shocks and all these things going on, you want to make sure you take your Bitcoin off of exchanges, you take self-custody, and if you need help getting set up, if you need help with wallets, nodes, no KYC purchases, inheritance planning, guys, the Bitcoin Way is your IT team in the Bitcoin world. If you need help with any of that, we get a link down below, and you can schedule a call with the Bitcoin Way today. So guys, what do you think? Do you agree with Max Keiser's predictions? Is the transition to the Bitcoin standard imminent? Share your thoughts below and be sure to stay up to date with the peaceful revolution by subscribing, liking, sharing our content, and we have a special sign out to all of ye shitcoiners from Max Keiser. Don't miss that. We have some more fun content for you, including how Bitcoin goes to 5 million in 3 simple steps, and not to mention Max and Stacy joined Simply Bitcoin at BitBlock Boom, where they discussed how Bitcoin is saving humanity and El Salvador stays winning. And yes, that is foreshadowing. We're diving into El Salvador tomorrow, baby. Time for Max to send out the shitcoiners. Catch you all tomorrow.
And of course, nobody is going to come close to Bitcoin, but the worst of the worst, the people that are really smoking the seeds and stems of the bag of dope of nothingness, the people who are picking little bits of peanuts out of squirrel shit are the shitcoiners, the people with absolutely no hope. They're the heroin addicts and the overdosers of the fake crypto environment of nothingness, just out there affinity scamming to the end. There's no hope for the shitcoiner. There's no way to bring them back now from the abyss. We've tried. We've built the ark, but they insist on drowning. We've built perfect money, but they insist on losing. And there's nothing we can do, Tatum, at this point. We should not feel bad for them. We should not feel bad for ourselves because we have to leave them behind. Leave them behind to rot in their own stinking shitcoinery to death. And let's not be cruel about it. Let them top themselves right away. Now. Tatum, back to you.